Hello, this is JC De Guzman, and this is the video for the top 5 gainers and top 5 losers analysis for April 25, 2019. I'm going to share with you my technical analysis, overall sentiment, and trade setups for House, ECP, IDC, ISM, Chelsea, PXP, Green, DNL, IRC, and finally, Pizza. So I will begin with House. House closed on Thursday at 14.5. That was above its volume weighted average price of 14.38. Support is at 12.88. I had to plot an up Fibonacci so we could get the psychological resistance, which is in confluence with the 61.8% of the up Fibonacci extension. So here's the psychological resistance. Here's where it is situated. It's near 16.24, which is the 61.8% of the up Fibonacci extension. Okay, so we have to move this. I have to move this horizontal line over here. So that's the psychological resistance of House. I also noticed, by the way, that there's already a perfect bullish alignment between the three SMAs of House. It's not to mention that the last price still moving above the 10-day simple moving average. And by the way, the ascent in price on Thursday registered a volume that's almost equal, if not slightly above. It's slightly above actually the 10-day volume average of House. Now, I still don't see any formation of a bearish convergence with a signal line on the MACD histogram. However, I've noticed that RSI is already has already hit the classical overbought level. Okay, so it's already at 80%, 81% if we will round it up. So my recommendation is that you lock in some profits between 4.5 to 15 pesos per share. It's better to be risk averse at this moment, since if we are to get the clue from the RSI histogram, so lock in some profits between 4.5 to 15 pesos per share. So this piece of advice is for those who already have a position on House. Now, if you don't have a position on this stock, my recommendation is that you wait for a pullback to as close as 12.88 per share. Okay, of course, that piece of advice will change if a House will uh, continuously register a green candlestick matched with bullish volume. Okay, but for now, my advice is that you wait for a pullback to as close as 12.88, or maybe once the price retreats back to 13.9 at least. Okay, so that's my recommendation, and my overall sentiment is neutral to bullish on this particular stock. Now, moving on to ECP. ECP closed on Thursday at 13.5. That was also above its VWAP of 12.99. It was matched with a bullish volume that was obviously higher than its 10-day volume average. MACD continuously registers a gap above the signal line. That's a bullish signal again. RSI is far from the overbought level, from the classical overbought level. Foreign investors, on the other hand, are bearish on ECP for 2019 year-to-date. Nonetheless, their participation is not really that significant when compared to their transactions with the blue chip companies. So support is near 9.69, resistance is near 14.25. My overall sentiment remains bullish, but I advise that you lock in some profits near 14.25. Lock in some profits near 14.25. I think this resistance level is quite strong, as shown in the past. As it is as as can be seen in the past. This is a strong resistance level, so it might as well lock in some profits at 14.25. Even if you will share all of your holdings on ECP at near 14.25 and the price continues to go up, you can still enter a new position provided that the ascent in price is supported with volume. And where do you buy? Where do you test buy when that happens? Of course, within the range that got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades. If you don't have ECP, again, wait for a pullback to as close as 9.70. Okay? Now next, we have IDC. IDC closed on Thursday at 5.30. That's above its VWAP of 5.24. It was matched with a strong bullish volume above its 10-day volume average. MACD shows no signs of weakness. That's another bullish signal. And foreign investors bought about 600,000 pesos rather. 600,000 pesos worth of shares on Thursday. Foreign investors are bearish, however, for 2019 year-to-date on IDC. This ascent in price on Thursday managed to maintain its position above all three SMAs actually, and the 10 SMA already crossed above the 200-day SMA. That's a golden cross. For those of you who have IDC, what you hope to see is not only for the 10 SMA to maintain its position above the 200-day SMA, but also for the 50 SMA to follow through. Meaning to say you want to see the 50 SMA crossing above the 200-day SMA as well. Of course, maintaining its position below the 10 SMA. Because when that happens, we will get a perfect bullish alignment coming from the three SMAs of IDC. And when there's a perfect bullish alignment with the SMAs, that's for me, that's a 200 times confirmation of a strong upward momentum present on the stock. But for now, the 200-day SMA is still hovering the 50 SMA. So meaning to say, we want to see the price. For those of you who have IDC, you want to see the price to move to inch closer to 5.65, as closer as it could get. As close as it could get. Okay? And then when that happens, consider locking in some profits near 5.65 as well. And if IDC will show some signs of weaknesses near 5.65, try to wait for a pullback then and see if you could catch IDC near 4.35. Okay, so I still have a bullish sentiment on IDC, but you've heard my advice for this stock already. Now next we have ISM. ISM closed on Thursday at 5.11. VWAP was at 4.63. Resistance is at 5.21. Support is at 3.61. So this green candlestick was matched with a volume above the 10-day volume average, and MACD continuously moves above the signal line. I still see no sign of weakness coming from MACD. Foreign investors, on the other hand, sold about 1.15 million pesos worth of shares on Thursday, and they are bearish for 2019 year-to-date on ISM as well. Now, if you have my overall sentiment on ISM is neutral. So ISM might just move sideways between 4.4 or maybe 4.45 all the way to 5.2 based on the behavior of volume here, beginning the month of April. So for those of you who managed to enter a new position in ISM near 4.5, consider locking in some profits near 5.2. Okay, near 5.2. Entertain the idea of holding your position or topping up onto your ISM shares if and only if the ascent in price close to 5.2 is consistently matched with a strong volume. And how strong is strong? Volume should be green above the 10-day volume average or equal to the 10-day volume average, preferably above the 10-day volume average. Okay, so that's it. So I'm sideways on ISM, and my recommendation is to lock in some profits near that level. And now, if you don't have a position in ISM, just monitor the stock for now. Wait for the presence of those 4 criteria that we always check. And what are those? It should be a green candlestick, number 1. Number 2, it should be above the VWAP. Here, VWAP. Number 3, the volume should be at least 50%, above the 50% of the 10-day volume average. Preferably equal, if not higher than the 10-day volume average. The higher, the better. Number 4, the most voluminous and most traded range should be closer to the intraday high than the intraday low. If you need assistance on how to do a price volume distribution analysis, I'm just a post away inside our private clients forum. Okay, so next we have Chelsea. Chelsea Logistics closed on Thursday at 5.29. VWAP was at 5.22. The green candlestick ascended. It ascended above its 10-day simple moving average. It was matched as well with a strong volume that's about 200% above its 10-day volume average. On the other hand, foreign investors did not have it, meaning to say they sold about 2.8 million pesos worth of shares. MACD continues its ascent above the signal line. I still see no signs of a bearish convergence, a formation of a bearish convergence between MACD and the signal line. I repeat, no signs of weakness on MACD's histogram. Now, I'd like to mention, by the way, that I see a perfect bearish alignment on the SMAs of Chelsea. If there's one consoling thing that I see here is the movement of the price on Thursday above the signal line. So that's one string of hope for those of you who have this stock in your portfolio. Now, the foreign investor sentiment for 2019 year-to-date is still bearish on Chelsea. Support is at 4.55, resistance is at 6.16. I encourage you, or I recommend that you consider locking in some profits near 6.16, because there's no guarantee. Not really there's no guarantee, but there's a sign that my insight tells me that it could be challenging to break out above 6.16, especially if volume is it does not consistently show a bullish volume above the 10-day volume average. So if the volume will just fluctuate, it goes up, then goes down from the 10-day volume average, so Chelsea might have a hard time breaking out above 6.16. Again, we need to see some consistencies in showing some bullish volume equal to the 10-day volume average, and preferably above the 10-day volume average. So my overall sentiment on Chelsea is neutral, and my recommendation is that you wait for you lock in some profits near 6.16. Okay, and entertain the idea of entering a new position on Chelsea if those 4 criteria that we always check are present. Okay, next we have PXP. PXP closed on Thursday at 8.57. VWAP was at 8.97. That's below the VWAP. And the descent and price was matched with the red candlestick that's above the 10-day volume average, meaning to say profit-taking activity was really the highlight of the day on Thursday. I still see a perfect bearish alignment of the 3 SMAs of PXP. The consoling thing, the consolation here is seeing the price moving above the 10-day simple moving average. Meanwhile, as MACD is still bullish above the signal line, I still see no sign of any weakness being emitted by MACD. Well, at least for now. Foreign investors, on the other hand, bought about 4 million pesos worth of shares on Thursday. Foreign investors are bearish for 2019 year-to-date on PXP. Support is at 7.55, resistance is at 9.84. Okay, 9.84. Should it break down below 7.55, 5.11 is waiting as the next support level. If it breaks above 9.84, 11.45 waits as the next resistance level. My overall sentiment on PXP is neutral. It might just bounce back and forth between 7.55 and 9.84. If you are happy with that kind of reward to risk ratio between that support and resistance level, then I suggest that you just trade the range for PXP for now until a solid bullish catalyst, domestic or international, comes out and be seen as an instrument to catapult the price beyond 9.84. But for now, trade the range. I am neutral or sideways on I have a neutral sentiment on PXP. Okay, so if you don't have PXP, as always, entertain the idea of doing a test buy only if and only if those 4 criteria are present. Next, we have green. Are we going to see green candlestick on green for Thursday? Nope, it was a red candlestick. Closing price was 2.5, VWAP was 2.58. Unfortunately, green is now moving bearishly, both in the short term and the medium term. Okay, short term and the medium term, it's below the 10 SMA and the 50 SMA already. Support is at 2.25, resistance is at 2.9. Foreign investors bought about 800,000 pesos worth. No, not bought, but they sold. Or they bought rather. It was a net foreign buying, 800,000 pesos worth of shares on Thursday. Meanwhile, because of the 3-day streak of showing some red candlesticks, MACD crossed below the signal line, and that's a bearish sign for green already. Okay, so my recommendation here is that it was a good idea for those of you who sold near 2.90. That was a good decision. Because that's near the confluence or intersection. That was near the intersection, close to an intersection, not a perfect intersection between the 10 SMA and the 50 SMA, by the way. So that was a good spot to lock in some profits near 2.9. Okay, so if you don't have green, do two things. It's either you wait for a pullback close to 2.25, but if it does not go to 2.25 and just move between 2.25 and 2.9, again, entertain the idea of entering a new position if those 4 criteria that we monitor are present. If you don't know how to check if those 4 criteria are present or not, you can ask for my assistance inside our private clients forum. If you're a subscriber, you always have an access to the private clients forum. Okay, my overall sentiment is sideways on green, neutral meaning to say the price might just move sideways between the immediate support and the resistance level from here. Okay, next we have DNL. DNL closed on Thursday at 10.60. VWAP was 10.69. The descent in price was matched with a bearish volume above the 10-day volume average. MACD shows no sign of any recovery. Foreign investors sold about 3 million pesos worth of shares. And for 2019 year-to-date, foreign investors are bearish on DNL. DNL is also bearish not only in the short term but also in the long term, as it already broke below the 200-day SMA. Okay, so the acting support is now near to 10.05, resistance is at 11.16. Okay. So let's see. I also see a midterm support level here, somewhere near 10.5. Let's see if DNL will respect the midterm support at 10.5 and consider that as a rebound zone. If it does rebound above 10.5 with a strong volume that's equal if not higher than its 10-day volume average, then do a test buy if and only if those four criteria that we check are present. My overall sentiment on DNL is bearish, and my recommendation is that you wait for a pullback to as close to 10.5. If it does not continue to draw closer, much closer to 10.5, then consider doing a test buy when those four criteria that we monitor are present. IRC is the next stock in the list. IRC closed on Thursday at 1.66. VWAP was at 1.68. IRC is bearish in the short term and in the long term scale as well. I also see a perfect bearish alignment on the three SMAs of IRC. Support is at 1.38, resistance is near 1.74, and the descent in price on Thursday was matched with a volume above its 10-day volume average. I also see no, this is not a dolphin, although it looks like one, nose of a dolphin. Huh? So I also see a bearish convergence with a signal line. If the descent in price will continue this Friday, we will most likely see MACD crossing below the signal line. Foreign investors, on the other hand, bought about 300,000 pesos worth of shares on IRC on Thursday. Foreign investors, on the other hand, are bearish on IRC for 2019 year to date. My overall sentiment on IRC is bearish. Watch out for this midterm support level near 1.6. If possible, wait for a pullback to as close as 1.6. When that happens, you reevaluate if those four criteria are present and do a test buy near 1.6. However, if IRC will not touch 1.6 and choose to regain its position above 1.74, its previous support, then again, you entertain the idea of doing a test buy only if those four criteria are present. It's always like that. Okay? We have to have some basis whenever we do an investment or trade decision. Okay? So there you go for IRC. And last but not the least, we have Pizza. Shakey's Pizza closed on Thursday at 12.34. VWAP was 12.5. This stock is also descended with a volume above its 10-day volume average. It's already bearish in the short term to medium term, but maintains its bullish position in the long term. Another consoling thing about Pizza is that the alignment of its SMAs is still in a perfect bullish position, even though it's already bearish in the short term to the medium term scale. MACD, on the other hand, is busy in increasing the gap, unfortunately below the signal line, so that's a bearish signal. Foreign investors sold about, it's actually an insignificant amount of shares, but they are bearish for 2019 year to date, by the way. So support is near 11.73, resistance is near 13.4. Okay, there's a midterm support here that I'd like you to notice as well. It's at 12.4. So if Pizza will continue to decline below 12.4, it will increase the likelihood of seeing Pizza close to 11.7. But if it maintains its position above 12.4, that can be considered as a rebound area for Pizza to revisit the resistance at 13.4. So if you are happy with the reward to risk ratio from 12.4 to 13.4, it's up to you if you'd like to trade that range, but just enter a new position again and again if those four criteria that we always monitor are present. If one of those four criteria is absent, then it decreases the probability of seeing the price registering another green candlestick. Okay, my overall sentiment on Pizza is bearish, and I've already given you my recommendation. So if you have a Pizza, let's say you bought Pizza above 12.4, make sure that you monitor your trailing stop loss. None of the brokers in the Philippines have stop loss feature in place, so you are compelled to do a live monitoring on your position on pizza. Okay, so activate your trailing stop loss as soon as it gets hit. If you don't have pizza, monitor pizza above 12.4. If there are signs of a recovery or if those four criteria are present, then do a test buy. Let me remind you that if you need assistance when it comes to evaluating a stock, just post a request inside our private clients forum. So you've heard my technical analysis, overall sentiment, and trade setups for these 10 stocks, and this is the video for April 25, 2019. Again, my name is JC De Guzman. May you have an independent, responsible, and a profitable trading day this week. Have a great day.